Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reed. I'm the designer of The Adventures of Conan, and I wanted to do a video to talk a little bit about some of the daily unlocks and stretch goals that Gale Force 9 has put out for The Adventures of Conan, to talk about their effects, what I think is cool about them, how they impact the game, and a little bit more about the design process for those things. So let's take a look here. We have the Game Found page is up. The campaign is still live as of this recording. And we're going to start with the daily unlocks. And they've been putting a daily unlock out each day. So this is all stuff that is being added in. A lot of the first stuff is for the base game, but we've had something that's been added into an expansion as of today's unlock. So the first one is Alvazar. It's another character. It's an ally. Alvazar shows up in a couple of different places in the Dark Horse line of comics. This image is from the Songs of the Dead, which is a really cool multi-part limited series that they did. And of course, with the King and Crom pledge levels, there's the miniature. There's no token in the normal because you don't really need a token. The ally is always wherever Conan is. But if we're going to do miniatures, we figured let's do miniatures of everybody. So you'll just be moving the ally along with Conan if the Conan moves. If Conan moves. Alvazar is one of those allies that uses the second set of primary dice. So some of the characters that we've seen so far have got the dark green with the white symbols are the first set of primary, and these are a light green with a dark green symbol. And then all allies use the same pool, although you're only going to have one ally at a time. And the two different effects are pretty interesting. And we're gonna dive in a little bit more on Alvazar here to look at what his abilities are. So I'm actually going to scroll down here to the let's load more. Alvazar, here we go. So we're going to read more about his effects. And he has got, on one side of his card, in the main phase, you may use all of any result to advance on the plot track. That should say plot instead of character. So in the main phase of the game, you're spending your dice to do actions, and if you've rolled your character symbol, which for the ally is that tankard of ale, you can spend those to move up on that plot track. You won't get any rewards, but you will get points, and you get closer to unlocking a free die if that plot has that as an option. And you'll be getting closer to getting more points and better rewards as you go farther down that plot. You will get the points though, and so normally it will take a number of dice with your character symbol equal to the chapter number of the space you're moving on to. So if you're ready to move on to the first space of chapter 2, you'd have to spend 2 of these dice. But Alvazar can use 2 of any symbol. So if he's rolled a couple of warriors, he can say, I'm going to spend 2 warriors to move up on the track. So that makes him a lot more flexible and more likely to move up on the track. His other ability is he gains 2 victory points each time he places a die on the encounter track. So that encounter track is how you unlock the horrible monsters that Conan will have to fight. Now, if the allies' dice are on the track, it's the good part for Conan is it blocks the foe from putting a die on there, because each foe die on that encounter track will handicap both Conan and an ally. Should the ally roll for that encounter, they'll have to set aside a die for each foe die that's on there. So Alvazar's thing, it's a little self-serving. He's getting points for doing it, and it does make it easier for him potentially to defeat an encounter if Conan can't. So that's what's going on with Alvazar. The second one, day 3, because they didn't do a daily on day 1. They had their day 1 stretch goal, which we'll talk about here in a second. But we had a new plot as part of the day 3. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go down to that. Here we go. So it's the test of wits. And the big thing here is that all of the plot cards will have these symbols in circles. Those are the required results that you need to roll in order to move up 1 space on that plot track. These highlighted diamonds, those are for the bonus. So you don't have to roll those, but you'll get extra goodies if you do. Here, the bonuses on the test of wits are all a little more challenging. There's not usually 2 bonus results and only 1 required result on a chapter 1. But as you can see, there's really no reward, not for Conan or for the ally, just for moving up. So if they just want to move up on that track, it's much easier to do. You just need this 1 scry result, and then pow, you get to move up on the track. You'll get 1 point, but you won't get anything unless you get the bonus. So here you're incentivized to maybe try to get that bonus because you will double what you get. And then chapter 1, of course, the ally will get 1 gold, but also double the bonus. And so a lot of the rewards are like that in this one. This test of wit. So it's just a different take on how it works. Chapter 3 still is going to get you that free die, that bonus die that you will have unlocked for every round moving forward once you get to that space. The next reward that they did, and we're kind of rolling backwards here, was Ohala. So, and Ohala is also from that same limited series that we got Alvazar. That is Songs of the Dead. Conan and the Songs of the Dead. It's really great. Check it out. It's Dark Horse Comics. I think it's a 6-part. It might only be 5-part series. It's a really good one. And it also involves one of the foes that we have in here, Huspus. It's a classic sort of, we need all of these ancient evil relics, and the bad guys are trying to release a dark god straight out of Lovecraftian horrors. And Conan and Alvazar they're just trying to get along for the most part, but then there's there's stuff to steal and there's glory. And she starts off as an ally. So this is what's unique about this character card, is she has an ally side and a foe side. And there are effects in the game that will have you switch, or you can just say, look, I'm going to start off, I'm just going to, choosing an ally, I'm going to be Ohala. Or we're playing with Ohala as a foe or the foe. She uses the primary allied dice here, but you will notice, you can kind of tell on the foe side that she's going to have foe dice as her primary dice, but her general dice are ally dice. So she's never going to be buying the foe dice. She just buys from the ally pool. And if you're playing with her as a foe, let's say you're playing a game where you have Alvazar as the ally with Conan, and you've decided to have Ohala as the foe, she is buying from the same pool as Alvazar. And if she's going first in turn order, if she can afford it, she might be able to buy up dice that Alvazar wanted. So that is an interesting twist. Plus, she's got 2 unique effects. So the one effect on her ally side is she can use warrior and sorcery results interchangeably throughout the main phase. So that is a big deal. If she's going to get into a duel with a foe, she can use sorceries to add to her warrior pool. And if she rolls sorceries, they count as warriors. So she's great for dueling, but she could use a warrior result to do a sorcery action like cycle encounters or place challenge tokens. So that's pretty powerful. And on her foe side, she gains the plot reward whenever she advances on the plot track for any reason. So I mentioned the plot track before, how Alvazar can move up on that plot track using symbols other than his character symbols. And when you move up on the plot track outside of that resource phase, you don't get any of the rewards for moving it. You get the points, the victory points for the chapter, but no rewards. And there are other ways. So if she is a foe, if Conan does not do an adventure, he doesn't make it to a kingdom with an adventure, the result is that foes move up on the plot track automatically. And in Ohala's case, she will get those rewards. So she's got 3 ways to get rewards, because if you move up on the plot track in the resource phase, that's when you're rolling the dice to try to get those symbols. You get the reward then as well. So very powerful effect and a cool mini to go with her. Then we had the 4th heroic daily unlock, and that was a little mini expansion called Relics. So let's take a look at that. So these are all, again, they're straight out of the comics. So the examples that we have here, and the artwork is subject to change, but I'm pretty happy with this. I like the aesthetic. It's similar to what the God tokens look like, with their own unique shape. These are the Black Stones. This comes from a story called the Black Stones. It was Conan the Barbarian, and those are all the stories that have to do with Belit. And Conan and Belit, they get a hold of these black stones, and they're trying to sell them because they're told they're very valuable. But this evil cult wants to take a hold of them. And again, it's another really interesting story. It involves Conan bringing Belit up to the north to his homeland in Samaria. And there's a lot of interesting developments. And then over here we have the Crown of Tiamat. This is I think it's from the Thing in the Temple, which is from Conan. Again, this is all Dark Horse, and this was something that Conan was trying to steal. So the way these relics work is on the other side there will be one of the symbols of the game. It's going to be a pirate symbol for the Black Stones, and it's a thief symbol for the Crown of Tiamat. And the way they enter the game is on the encounters. So some of the encounters, and I think if we actually, let's go back here, and I'm going to scroll up and see if I can find an image with some encounters to use as a visual aid. So that's a special encounter. Let's try to go to the base game. I think there's some encounters up here. Here we go. So encounters. The encounter deck has got these cards that are monsters and other kinds of villains and thugs and whatnot. And they all have a thing in the top right corner that tells you where they will be active, and it depends on where Conan is. So in this case, with the Moon Demons, if Conan ends the main phase in an Eldritch Kingdom, it's one of the gray kingdoms. You can see on the map there's a couple of gray kingdoms. Those are Eldritch Kingdoms. If the encounter track has unlocked encounters and Conan is in an Eldritch Kingdom, he will have to fight the Moon Demons. The Revenants would only be if Conan were in a wealthy kingdom. So you can see Ophir is a wealthy kingdom. So he wouldn't be fighting both of these because he couldn't be in both of them at the same time. But there are other encounter cards that just have attributes. So you can see that Ophir has this scry attribute, and that relates to how these relics work. When one of those encounter cards comes up that has that one attribute, in this case it would be a pirate attribute, and over here a thief attribute, you're going to put the relic on that encounter. And if encounters are unlocked and that encounter is faced, if anybody defeats the encounter, they'll get the relic. That's how they enter the game, and that's how you get them. So what do? Well, they have two different effects, and here's the list of all the relics, and they all chart to this one's scry, sorcery, thief, pirate. Yeah, the Blackstones, maybe it is scry. I thought it was pirate. My bad. In any case, they track to one of the symbols, and in the plot phase, if you've rolled the die and what you need is a scry symbol, you can change one of your non-character results to scry. So the character, again, is the one symbol you don't want to roll in the plot phase. It's all about what your actions are. The character result doesn't do anything in that phase. In fact, it works against you. But you can say, all right, well, instead of risking rolling 3 characters, because 3 characters means you automatically fail, here you can say, yeah, I'm just going to get that symbol that I need. If you don't end up using it in the plot phase, you could potentially use it in the main phase. When you've rolled a scry, if you don't want to do the scry action, you can say, I'm going to use the Black Stones to just spend that scry die and get 2 victory points. So it's a nice way to just get some points. You flip it, you turn it down, face down to show that you've used it, and then it will reset in the next round. You can reset a relic. So if you've managed to get more than one, you have to pick which one you're going to reset each time. But you'll have a good sense if you need that one, a particular one for the next chapter of the plot or what have you. So those are the relics. It's a very simple, straightforward expansion. It's easy to add in when you want it. They don't come up very often in the encounters because not a lot of the encounter cards are specific to one attribute. So it just makes those a little bit spicier. And it may be that Conan is like, you know what? Maybe I'll go to this kingdom here and see if I can't get that relic, because that would be pretty good. It also incentivizes maybe the ally and the foe to not only unlock encounters. They see, Conan is going to be going to kingdom with the thief attribute, so we've got the Crown of Tiamat there. And if the ally and the foe can, handicap Conan enough, and maybe he doesn't succeed, they may be able to snatch this right out from under him. So it does add a little more interesting decisions and stuff to the game. So that was that one. The fifth heroic unlock were some more encounter cards, and these are doozies. This is, I think we were calling this the Crucible. Yeah, the Crucible encounters. So these are really hard. We had in some of our test plays, the base game encounters. Every once in a while, Conan was like, "Oh, I'm going to unlock those encounters because I can beat them." Some of them are pretty easy, especially as Conan. Remember, Conan can put dice on the encounter track, and if the symbols match what he needs, he doesn't have to roll them. So even though you've got these restrictions on a lot of them where it has to be his orange dice, if he's got that's a warrior, he puts his one double warrior die on the encounter track, that's boom, boom. That's our 2 successes right there. He doesn't even have to roll that. Just has to roll these. So every once in a while, Conan is incentivized to definitely unlock those encounters to get the goodies for doing it. Some of these are a little bit harder. So this one is, we talked about how Conan can't be in 2 kingdoms at once. Well, here, this one is 2 different kingdoms. So if he's in a savage kingdom, he'll have to fight the dragon of Sylvanthia, or if he is in a port kingdom and the counters are unlocked. So it makes it more likely. But some of these other cards have different conditions. So over here, so we have a list. We have the Fiends, Ella Das Nal, which is some kind of eldritch horror, the Poison of Set, the Dragon of Sylvanthia, and Shuma Gorath, another. That's Shuma Gorath right there. So this one right here is the Fiends, and they are unlocked. Well, encounters are unlocked, but where does Conan need to be? He can be anywhere. If he has 3 or more gold, he has to fight the Fiends. And the Poison of Set is going to work if there is a revealed Temple of Set anywhere on the board. He'll have to face the Poison of Set. So these have some extra conditions which make them more likely that Conan may have to face them, and they have harsher penalties. So you can see right here, if he doesn't defeat the Dragon of Sylvanthia and someone else does, Conan will lose all of his fate tokens. And here, this one, he'll lose all of his fate tokens and get wounded, lose all of his gold and get wounded. So yeah, they're bad. The rewards are a little bit better. The rewards under encounters are usually not great. It's only a few points, and here it's 4 victory points. For these, here it's 4 victory points and any fate token, so a little bit better. But yeah, the reason they're called the Crucible encounters is because these are tough. So throw a couple more of these into the game to increase the difficulty. It makes it a little more competitive too for the ally and the foe, because it's just harder for Conan to defeat those guys. So then that brings us to the 6th unlock, and that is another character. And this is for the Nemedian Chronicles. This is one of the expansions. So it's another character. I don't have the mini for him, but it's Natak the Veiled One. And this is from, I want to say it's Black Colossus. Yeah, but it's the one where Conan is... He's made the general of the army of Karaja, and they're fighting against this massive army of these horrible creatures and warriors led by Natak, the Veiled One, who's actually... He's disguising himself because his name is backwards. A little spoiler alert, but it's a really great Conan story. And so this guy is a great new foe to add to the game. As your action in the main phase, you may spend an active sorcery result to focus a rival die, then flip this card. So what does that mean? So you're spending one of your dice. That's a normal action. You move it from your active side to your spent side. Focus a rival die is you take a look at one of their results and you change that die to a different result. You just basically turn the die. You're like, oh, you rolled a move. Well, let's change that to a warrior. So now you can't move. You may be limited in moving, or you change a warrior to a move. So if you were thinking you were going to come duel me and form a warrior pool, now you have one fewer die to actually do that. So that's a pretty good one. And then it flips the card. So if he does that, he's going to go to the other ability, which is when a fight challenge token is removed from the board, you may add it to your pool of face-down challenge tokens. So the challenge tokens are the ones that get placed, they've got the skull on them, they get placed on the board, and a lot of them are fights that force Conan to form a warrior pool, the potential of wounding him. So Natok can constantly get those, which means every time he does sorcery, he gets to place a challenge token. He'll get one to add to his pool, but he knows he can put another fight down somewhere if he wants to, and so just relentlessly, which is basically what happened. They were just sending wave after wave of these warriors to attack, and part of it was a distraction, but yeah, it was. It's a good story. So yeah, I really like that one, and so that's where we are up to now with the daily unlocks. We do have a couple of stretch goals. So we've unlocked one. So the day one, they didn't have a daily unlock, but they had the day one's get funded day one stretch goal. It's a 10 by 10 art print. So I will look forward to hanging this in my room. I'm a little bit biased. That was fine. But then we had this one when we hit 100,000 for the pledged. And it is the Savage Sword plot. This is the test of discipline. So I don't know if we can see. Maybe they have a bigger. Nope. All right, that's about as big as it gets. Let me do a zoom in here. So the test of discipline has got some very different elements to it. The big one here is you will see that you can see that you got that normal required result there, but then you've got this. So what's going on with the yellow one with the little spike sticking out of it? Well, that means that anybody who rolls that symbol, it's got to be from their primary dice. So Conan's are the orange ones. The foe, it's either the black or the red. And we talked about the ally dice. It's the dark green with the white, or the lighter green with the dark symbols on it. Those dice, your general dice, can't be applied to these for successes. And then the other thing that ups the ante, you can only see it here on chapter 1, but the bonuses are always, it's got to be a wild. And that doesn't mean you can use any symbol. It means you have to use a wild. And so normally those wilds are very helpful for everything else. But here, if you want the bonus, you are doing it there. The other thing that's different about the test of discipline are the rewards. So not all of them, but a lot of them have this sort of, you have to exert a certain amount of discipline over yourself. So we can see here on Chapter 5, the reward for Conan is score 5 victory points if you have no fate tokens. So normally as Conan, or as anybody really, you want to have a lot of fate tokens. You want to hold on to those so that you can use them for encounters and adventures, and even for the plot roll, because it gives you a safety net of, I didn't roll the symbol I needed, I can use this. But if Conan is like, I want those 5 points, because when you move up, that's 5. So this could be a 10-point gain right here. Here we can say you'll score 2 victory points for each fate that you discard. So you might have some, and you can say, all right, I'll discard 3 of these and get 6 points. So yeah, it's here, score 5 victory points if you only have 4 dice. So on that first round of play, as the foe, you're the only one who can afford to buy an extra die, which would give you 5 dice. But you might say, you know what? I'd rather have 5 victory points in that first round. Let me see if I can get on the track, because you just have to move up, which means all that the foe needs to do is roll a warrior on one of their 2 primary dice. So, and maybe they've got the set God token, which would let them blow past that. So that's 5 points just for not getting that extra die. So it's a really interesting switch to how the game normally unfolds. So then we've got the 2 that are underway. So we're a little ways off from these 2, but I did want to talk about them because there's some really interesting stuff. So we have got the Savage Sword encounters, and these are also really interesting in that this, like you can see, the Araban demons are very hard to beat, because Conan on his orange dice, he's not trying to get warriors, which is usually what he's after, trying to get scries. So this is a much taller order, and 5 symbols is also a big deal. 2 wounds if Conan fails and someone else succeeds. So that's a big deal. We've got the Fetid Vines, that's what's over here. This is the Hell Swarm. That's the City Watch, and this would be the Worms of the Earth. And what you can see there is that it says any adventure kingdom. So an adventure kingdom is a kingdom that has an adventure. And if Conan has made it to one and the encounters are unlocked, he's going to be fighting the Worms of the Earth. They can show up anywhere. So, and then the rewards here, fate tokens. You can see that Araban demons here in the City Watch have got that single attribute. So these would trigger relics. So this would bring in the relic that has the sorcery symbol. This would bring in the relic that has the trade symbol. So because it just has the one symbol, that's all it takes. So that's what we got going on that one. And then we've got the Savage Sword Adventures. So these are pretty cool as well. What's different about these is that the normal adventures in the game, they take place in specific kingdoms. These take place in types of kingdoms. So if you get Conan into any wealthy kingdom, he can do this adventure, Legends. If he gets into a savage kingdom, he can do war stories. Dark Horse here, that's actually the name of a story in the comic books. Eldritch Kingdom, the Silent to the Sea in any port kingdom, and then Helm in any military kingdom. There are a couple other things too, though. You'll notice that that War Stories and Legends has got this box. Normally it's a little circle. So the way this works is during the main phase, you're spending dice to do actions or put dice on the encounter track. As your action, you can say, well, I rolled a kingdom. I'm going to put that die right on here. Anybody can do that on their turn. And that means if Conan does this adventure, well, one die is already placed, and that die is going to score if this adventure gets completed. So you're kind of pre-helping out, and Conan can do it, or somebody else can do it. You can put a wild there because that can be any symbol. So that's how that works. The Dark Horse one has a fate token. So on your turn, as a free action, so you're not even spending a die, if you've got a kingdom fate token, you can put it on there, and what you're doing is you're actually making that adventure more difficult. You're adding another required result on it that Conan will have to use a die, and you're hoping it's going to be one of your dice. If you add more results, it means it's more likely that you're going to be able to score. But you can look at the reward here for Legends is you advance on all 3 achievements, and you can only do that once in the game, but that's a big deal. And so, yeah, you get to a wealthy kingdom. It's much easier to get to a type of kingdom than it is to a specific one. So that can be a big deal. So I do hope that these get unlocked because I think they're pretty fabulous. And I can say that there's definitely some even better stuff coming down. So if Adventures of Conan keeps going up, then we're going to see some great stuff. And a lot of the dailies are very cool. I'm excited for people to learn about those. They were a thrill for me to design. It's not stuff that was in the game that they said, no, we'll just add it back in. There's a lot of just original stuff that I got to design very late in the process. And we play tested, and we were like, yeah, this is really exciting stuff. So that is it for this one. If you've got any questions about any of those unlocks or stretch goals, let me know, or just questions about the Adventures of Conan. I'm happy to answer them. And that's it for this one, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.